What? Who parked this sedan in my garage? There's a car in my garage.
Well, the HOA approved me parking there temporarily.
I knew something was wrong before I even turned off the engine. My garage door was open, just an inch, like it was breathing, and I don't leave my garage open. Not for 5 minutes. Not for 5 seconds. I killed the truck, walked up slow, heart already doing math I didn't like, lifted the door, and there it was. A shiny gray sedan, parked inside my garage, perfectly centered, doors locked, mirrors folded in, sitting there like it paid rent. No note. No apology, no explanation. Just a stranger's car in my house. For a full 10 seconds, I stood there, hands on my hips, brain buffering. I checked the street, knocked on a few doors, got nothing but shrugs and one guy asking, "You leave your garage open?" Not in this century. So I did the polite thing, wrote a friendly note. "Hey, probably a mix-up. Please move your car by morning. Thanks." Slid it under the wiper and decided to give humanity one chance. Morning came. The car was still there. My note crumpled on the concrete like trash. That's when the irritation turned cold. I checked my cameras, scrolled to midnight, and there she was. Green night vision, cream trench coat, heels, walking into my driveway like she owned the block, peeking into my garage, hands on hips, nodding, then casually bringing the car around and parking it inside my property before strolling away. I recognized her instantly. Karen, vice president of the Mapler Crest HOA, professional rulemaker, the same woman who once fined a guy because his mailbox was aggressively taupe. My stomach dropped, because this wasn't a mistake. This was Karen testing how much of my life she could steal and get away with. I marched straight to Karen's porch with the camera printout under my arm. She opened the door already annoyed, like I'd interrupted her favorite hobby, ruining someone's day. "Yes," she said, dragging the word out. "There's a car in my garage," I said. Calm, controlled, one wrong breath away from felony. She didn't even blink, just glanced past me toward my house, then back at me with a lazy shrug. "It's your car," she said. I laughed. Not because it was funny, because my brain refused to accept the audacity. "It's not my car, Karen." Well, the HOA approved me parking there temporarily. That was the moment I realized she wasn't confused. She was lying to my face and seeing if I'd fold. So I called the HOA office. Shockingly, no one had approved anything. Karen had simply decided my garage was now community property. I called a tow truck. 15 minutes later, a guy named Buck showed up, oil-stained coveralls, the kind of man who's seen the worst of humanity before lunch. He was already setting the hooks when Karen came flying out in a bathrobe, hair frizzed, voice on maximum volume. "You touch that car and I will have your company banned from Mapler Crest." She physically planted herself between the truck and the car. Buck looked at me. "Is this your property?" "House. Garage. The grass she hates. All mine." Buck nodded, reached for the controls. Karen escalated into full meltdown. Lawsuits, bylaws, screaming about authority. Buck sighed, "Man, I believe you, but I'm not getting sued by a lady in a bathrobe on a Tuesday." And he left. Karen laughed. Actually laughed, like a cartoon villain who just won. An hour later, the police said the words that should be illegal. "Sir, this is a civil matter." Karen waved at me as they drove off. She thought she'd won. That's when I started reading the law. And that's when things got dangerous for Karen. If you're enjoying this so far, hit like, share this with someone who hates HOA drama, and subscribe. Also, tell us where you're watching from in the comments. I spent the next 4 hours doing what Karen never expected. Research, not angry Googling, real boring, soul-crushing legal reading. And buried deep in my state statutes was a beautiful little section about abandoned vehicles on private property. It was disturbingly specific. Timelines, forms, notarized statements, police reports, the kind of law nobody reads until they need revenge with a paper trail. And the best part? If you follow the steps, that car legally stops being your problem. So I followed every step. I went to a notary, told her the story. She laughed so hard she had to take off her glasses before stamping my statement. I called non-emergency. The dispatcher went quiet when I said, "There's a car abandoned inside my garage." Sent an officer just to see it with his own eyes. Report filed. Then I called scrapyards. First guy hung up. Second thought I was pranking him. Third said, "You've got paperwork? Send the address." Next morning, a scrap truck pulled up. Two guys jumped out with the emotional energy of men who crush problems for a living. They started the inspection. Photos, VIN, clipboard. Then the driver froze. You got the title? It's not my car. He scratched his jaw. Yeah, it's not her car either. He turned the clipboard around. Owner of record Jonathan Pierce, not Karen, not me. The richest man in the neighborhood, HOA sponsor, 6-car garage, the guy whose name was on every donation plaque. My stomach dropped. Karen hadn't just stolen my garage, she had been hiding someone else's car inside my house. And now I had his number, so I called it. Mr. Pierce, I said, do you own a gray sedan with this plate number? There was a long pause. Then a very calm voice said, I'll be in 10 minutes. And Karen was about to be exposed in front of everyone. Pierce didn't take 10 minutes. He took 8. Black SUV. Door flew open. Suit sharp enough to cut through lies. He looked at my garage, at his car, jaw tightening like he was chewing glass. You found this where? He asked. In my garage. Uninvited. Before I could explain further, fate delivered the final blow. Karen stepped outside with a coffee mug, saw the SUV, saw Pierce, saw the tow truck, and froze mid-sip. Pierce walked toward her slowly. Not yelling. Worse. Calm. Karen, he said, you told me you needed my car for 2 days. She laughed, a thin, panicked laugh. Well, yes, but there were break-ins and I was just protecting. It's been 3 months. Silence. I handed him the notarized statement, the police report, the statute. He skimmed it and said the words that ended her career. You have everything you need. Move it. Karen snapped, grabbed the tow truck door, screaming about bylaws and authority. The driver leaned out, touch my truck again, and I'll have you towed. Pierce pulled out his phone. We can call the police if you'd like. Karen stepped back like the ground was lava. The car was winched up. My garage was finally empty. Next morning, HOA letter in my mailbox. Fine for unauthorized disposal of a vehicle. I walked it into the HOA office. The president, Rick, opened a folder labeled Denton Complaints. Emergency meeting that night. Projector, footage, reports, Pierce's lawyer letter, vote passed unanimously. Karen removed for abuse of authority. A month later, a moving truck sat in front of her house. She carried a lamp out, saw me on my porch. I lifted my coffee. Drive safe, Karen. She didn't answer. Like, share, and subscribe if you've ever dealt with HOA madness. Tell us where you're watching from in the comments. And the real question was scrapping the car justice or the perfect revenge?